decide this weekend's games, and let's start with the Sunday night matchup, Ravens and Bills.
Yeah, with the Sunday night matchup, I know it's not sexy, but Mark Andrews, think about the way that they're going to utilize big people on the field. There's going to be a ton of time where there's going to be Lamar Jackson and then 10 other people that are 250-plus pounds. And so that's going to put a linebacker on Mark Andrews, and we know how big he's been in the red zone, the way he's leading this team in touchdown catches, and he's Lamar Jackson's not security blanket, but go-to guy. So I'm expecting Mark Andrews to have a huge day. It's going to be cold. You're going to want to throw in between the numbers. You're going to want to keep big people on the field.
Let's go to the early game tomorrow. You will be there for Kansas City and Houston. Who's the game breaker?
When you think about Kansas City and Houston, we have to get Nico Collins involved. The last time they played, Trent McDuffie traveled with him, so he wasn't able to get loose. McDuffie held him to like 3 catches and only 5 yards. He has to get going the same way he got going against the Los Angeles Chargers last week. That infused this offense with some energy, and then later on, Joe Mixon was able to take over.
Commanders and Lions is the Saturday night special.
It's going to be all about Jahmyr Gibbs to me. They have to stop the run. You got to find a way to try to make the Detroit Lions one-dimensional. Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Deron Payne up front. You have to be stout in the run game because the play action from Ben Johnson and Jared Goff will kill you if you allow Jahmyr Gibbs to get going. And it's the speed, Greedy, taking a 5-yard run and making it 20 in 6 points.
Well, he's Sonic and he's getting knuckles back too, right?
So which is the worst case scenario for the Washington Commanders this week.
And finally, Rams and Eagles. Who's the player to watch?
I mean, when you think about the Rams, it's going to be how can they utilize Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams is a guy who I believe is underrated in this league, a big-time rusher from the backfield, but they also use him in the pass game. It's going to be about ball control in this game. You know that Saquon Barkley will be huge on the other side of the ball for the Philadelphia Eagles, but I believe Kyren Williams is just as important.
Well, those are the two backs in this game, obviously. Williams on one side, and let's talk about Saquon because he went crazy the last time these teams played each other, had over 300 yards from scrimmage. But if history is any guide, Sean McVay is going to give him a tough time. Take a look at the numbers. Saquon is going up against the Sean McVay team that in the 12 career playoff games that McVay has coached, he has never allowed, a 100-yard rusher. There it is. 12 playoff games. No one has ever run for 100 yards against the Sean McVay team. And as Dan Orlovsky told us yesterday, that magic number will decide the game.
If Saquon doesn't go over 100, the Rams win this game. It'll be very clear. Jalen Hurts has got 6 playoff games, right?
Yeah.
In those 3 wins, he's thrown for 154 yards, 131 yards, and 121 yards. In the 3 losses, he's thrown for 304 yards, 250 yards, and something like 230 yards. So it's very clear.
The formula.
When they win, it is not on the arm of Jalen Hurts.
Okay, so, I mean, it's easier said than done if they stop Saquon Barkley. Well, no one has stopped Saquon Barkley, but let me ask my linebacker friend here.
Yeah, man.
If that's what if the Rams decide we're putting, as you said in our meeting this morning, 11 guys in the box, is Jalen Hurts ready to go out and beat him?
I think it makes the game a game. I think because Jalen Hurts he's risk averse. Like, he doesn't want to put the ball in harm's way. We talked about him not pushing the ball downfield, not giving his all-star wide receivers opportunities at the ball. You watch every other quarterback that has guys that we consider that dude, and A.J. Brown is that dude. And they give those guys chances to win. And if he isn't willing to put the ball in harm's way, then I don't know if they can win a Super Bowl. This game, we'll see if Saquon Barkley can go crazy. When somebody runs for 255 yards, I don't know if you got a game plan that you can stop or the personnel.
We got to stop using risk averse like it's leprosy.
It's not.
Right? Like, you know who was risk averse? Me. I didn't have a financial advisor until my 4th in the league because I was undrafted. I was basically putting my money underneath my mattress. And when I got one, I said, hey, man, don't you do nothing dangerous. I was like, I don't care how much money I make, but I sure don't want to lose none. And you're seeing that Jalen Hurts was playing that way because you had Saquon Barkley, because you could still win games playing that way. But when I hear Dan read some of those playoff stats, you know what it says to me? That means Jalen Hurts is capable. Right. He's capable of producing. And in order to stop Saquon Barkley, what is Chris Shula, the defense coordinator, is going to have to do? He's going to have to sell out. So that means you're going to tell me you're going to have Kobe Durant outside one-on-one against Devontae, right? Or you're going to have him one-on-one against A.J. Brown. You don't want that. because now those 50-50 balls become 75-25 balls, 90-10 balls. And Jalen Hurts can absolutely win a football game if he has to, based on what it's going to take to stop Saquon Barkley.
I think physics takes over, guys. Saquon Barkley led the NFL 2.64 yards before contact, Green. The best in the NFL. If these two teams played 10 times, Saquon rushes for 100 yards 9 out of those 10 times. It's just one of these matchups that a team strength is the other team.
And honestly, that one time, he must go pull a hamstring.
They can't stop him. You're saying they can't stop him.
No, you can stop him.
You can't stop.
You can stop
If
anybody.
he rushes for 100 yards, that's a win for the Rams.
Right.
He had 255. Right. And I'm pretty sure 140 of them came on 2 carries. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the trick. Is finding a way to limit the explosive game-wrecking run that he has, especially in the second half when they're trying to put games away. Again, easier said than done.
And if we wanted to nerd out, I'm sure me and Ryan can show guys what fronts that gives you a better chance. They can go to a reduced front. It's certain things that you can do, but you can't get in a heavy dose of being predictable. So you have to be able to stop the run and load the box in different ways.
Let me ask you a different question. I'm just going to paraphrase it, but Harry Douglas was sitting in that seat yesterday, and of course he's a wide receiver. We all understand how wide receivers think. But he said there is no game in which A.J. Brown should ever have 1 catch for 10 yards and 3 targets.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of the circumstances. And now, he's reading a book, which either is or isn't a big deal. I can't make up my mind.
Good for that
all week long.
Big week.
Worked out pretty well for him. I know. I keep telling him about send our books to the Eagles. For crying out loud. But I mean,
like, inner excellence is the name of the book.
Right.
We need some outer excellence from A.J. Brown and the Eagles passing game if they're going to have playoff success. I'm not kidding. I mean, like, they're going to have to do something at some point.
Yeah, Harry's right. Coach Parcells would always say, in consequential moments, it's players, not plays. And A.J. Brown does need to touch the ball more than once per game.
Well, I hear Tom Brady on these telecasts every single week and all the interviews that he does, and he's always saying, when you've got receivers, you want to get them a touch early. Get them into the
They would check out.
That's what I mean.
They would check out.
Good for him that he's sitting there reading a book. I mean, as opposed to yelling at people and saying, throw me the damn ball. I'm surprised he's not reading Keyshawn's book.
That's also that's also on Kellen Moore, right? Because think about when we watch Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Bengals play, the throws behind the line of scrimmage where they have blockers out in front, or the quick out from the slot position. It's not necessarily that they're throwing him these big explosive plays or giving him opportunities to be dynamic. It's just giving him a chance to touch it. Right. And so if you're Kellen Moore, you have to dial some of those things up. If we get off coverage in cover 3, throw the hitch.
Yeah.
Give him a 5-yard stop. He'll catch it. He'll turn around and run.
That's a run.
Maybe he gets 8 yards. Maybe he gets 15. But at least he feels like he's involved.
In games like this, too, you want your receivers comfortable with how the ball feels that day, right? Because you don't want it to be a gotta-have catch, and he decides, do I try and hand catch it, or do I catch it off those frozen shoulder pads, and then you don't make the play. You want him to get a touch and see how the ball feels.
And also, too, I know Mike T has something. In A.J. Brown, to give A.J. Brown credit, the Dallas Goedert touchdown is partly because A.J. Brown throws a block on Dallas Goedert's man who is covering him. And that's huge because he stayed involved and did other things other than catch the ball.
Grady, what's interesting to me about this game is Sean McVay, the strategist, he knows these matchups. I'm sure he's going into this game saying, screw it. 4-down football, Stafford. We're just going to go. Our best chance to win is when we have the ball because we can't stop this team. And like Ross said, 100 yards is a win for the Rams. So if there's an upset in this game, it's going to be on the right arm.
Here's the problem. I hear you.
You can lose early.
The Eagles' defense is the best. I mean, they're probably the best unit on the field this whole weekend.
If the Rams win this game, it is going to be the most masterful coaching performance of Sean McVay's life. We're going to come in here and we're going to talk about the way that Sean McVay out-strategized, and made better decisions than Nick Sirianni. That's what it's going to be about. The way Chris Shula played defense against the Eagles, the way Sean McVay made sure the offense complemented them, the opportunities they took to go for it on 4th down to keep the ball away from Jalen Hurts. It's all going to be about the way they coach and the way that number 9 plays.
That's what I love about this round. because it's rematches, right? So you use what they know about you against you, right? It's all about knowing your tendencies and changing your tendencies in pivotal moments. It's about, can you pick up that fourth down, right? When we talk about when we played New England, they expected us to be man-to-man all the time. What we did is we simulated man-to-man. We went with them in motion, but it was a zone, and it depended on where you end up. It's masterful, and this is when you separate the coaches, the good from the great in this round.
Yeah.
I see one Los Angeles Rams logo on my screen. That's one more than I was expecting. Look, you give them a chance.
Look at this suit jacket.
Coach and quarterback.
Right. Frostbite.
Coach and quarterback. I think they have an advantage in those two key spots. And look, the first game they got run all over by Saquon Barkley and the Eagles. That's bad, but it's also a whole pile of data for Sean McVay and his staff to sift through and figure out what to do differently.
Các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình. Video ngày hôm nay